Good morning, travelers, dreamers and weavers, light keepers, freedom fighters, newly awakened souls, souls who are just waking up. Maybe you haven't awakened to the beauty of the world, but somehow you were drawn to this video today. I welcome you with open arms. My name is Paula, also known as P.B. Moreland, as the author of the books in the Whitebird series. I'm also a dragon blood in my veins and in my soul origins. The dragon is an aquamarine water dragon named Crystal. I have many beings about me, as most of us do, but lately I have been reacquainting myself with all of these beautiful beings that surround me, that speak to me, that remind me of who I am, that nudge me, that guide me, that protect me. For as we walk these paths in our everyday life towards the golden age, if many of us are already there, it is good to remember this. And so I welcome you to my channel, Crystal Tales and Dragon Scales. So today I thought I would just hop on, talk about a few things that have happened in my world, and ask you how you're doing. First, let's remember that this is a growing channel, and I would like you to subscribe if you feel so inclined, and to like this video and to share it with those who you feel might benefit from these messages that I give, and to explore all the other videos that I have posted here in this sacred space. Leave a comment. You are very, very welcome to join this community. The message today I have is for, let's say, how we can live quietly in a crowded world. I have addressed this in other videos, living in the stillness, the sacred pause. But for many of us who are awakening to the beauty around us, noise is often a distraction. But what do we do about that? What do we do about that noise where we live? Some of us live in neighborhoods such as where I live, in a suburban community. Some of us live in busy cities, farms, what have you. We all live somewhere. For some of us, the ones who are awakening, or have been awake for a very long time, noise, let's say noisy neighbors, can be unsettling to our nervous systems. If you're like me, I seek balance. I have roles in past lives as Earthkeeper, balance restorer, the guardian of the gate, the keeper of the balances. On and on it goes as my soul stretches back in time to infinity. And so when things disrupt my system, I take notice. If I don't want to spin on it, something that's beyond my control, I need to understand why it affects me the way it does. And so, as always, I'm going to refer to my notes on my phone, because this video, I want to address the guardian within, finding peace when the world disrupts the stillness. So being an Earthkeeper, my soul, Earthkeeper, in a loud and careless world, and how to bless, not battle, what arises around us. And so I'm going to title this video, The Guardian Within, Finding Peace When the World Disrupts Stillness. And this has been happening lately in my life. I've noticed how, because it's summertime and the world can be louder in the summer because of the windows open and people are outside, enjoying themselves, getting things done, not intending on being loud and noisy. Of course, they are doing what they were put here to do, but that doesn't mean it doesn't unsettle my nervous system. I do have that feeling in my neighborhood to protect the peace. But I am also very consciously aware of not being that neighbor interferes with another's own type of serenity or sanctuary. That is not my job. I am an earth keeper, and so it is in my deep soul essence and energy to keep the peace, to keep the balance, to restore order when the world was crumbling around us. This was my role in Atlantis. This was my role in Egypt. We have experienced so many lifetimes on this planet as humans where the world around us collapsed, where chaos ensued, and many of us carry these soul threads through. Why our nervous system sometimes shuts down when chaos erupts. And so, because I am a very curious soul, always have been, and I dig deep, always have, to the core of the matter, I do not have the luxury of setting aside when my soul, when my energy system, nervous system starts to fluctuate. I have signed up for this awakening. And so it is part of my journey to address why. Why must my nervous system be so affected when the neighbors are loud? Why does my nervous system shift and shudder when the storms come through? We had a large storm last night again, and I took it upon myself as an earth keeper to tone through the winds, and it settled my system while I did that. I do not have to battle the storm and wish for gentle rains and winds. I need to, as I signed up for, understand that I can be with the storm and honor it for what it's there for and become the wind whisperer, let's say, and become part of the storm itself and request the winds to soften. Last night, the tornado sirens went off here in the middle of the night. And at first, my body went into panic mode. And I know why it does that, because of all the other lifetimes that I've lived through when the earth changes came and the winds came and destroyed everything around us, where my body was shattered. Those around me were shattered, and I couldn't do anything to control it, and thus was destroyed, along with the animals and the people around me. So when the winds do come through very strongly, my nervous system remembers this, and I am beginning to remind my soul is reminding me through these times that I do not need to fear the storm. This lifetime is going to be one of grace and beauty, where my body will not be shattered, broken in millions of pieces in a chaotic fire or windstorm. If I do leave this planet, it won't be through chaos, it will be through mastery. I remember that when the storms come. I remember that when my nervous system starts to want to battle with the noise around me, or I go into a place of anger and control, when the city ordinances aren't respected, when households around me that are used for temporary short-term rentals instead of those families that live there that understand how to abide by these ordinances, which aren't to control but are to help keep the peace, keep our neighborhoods safe and fun and quiet and beautiful and harmonious and balanced. When this is disrupted, that ancient voice inside me says, I need to go and fix it. I need to control that. However, that is not my job in this life that I've chosen any longer. It used to be. It used to be in other lifetimes where it was my job to keep balance and restore balance. And I've had lifetimes where I failed, where it was too much for one person to hold it together. And subsequently, many died. And sometimes that voice is the one who shrieks, if you don't do something about this, we will fail and we will all die. And it really does affect how I react, how I respond to situations. And I am learning through remembering that I am here in this lifetime to bring in the light and to anchor it into this beautiful land. And I can live in sacred love and peace when the world is loud and chaotic. I can remember that all is well in all of creation all the time. And so now I'll share with a quick story. I took a little break because I had to put myself in the story itself, what just happened in my world that connects deeply with the message I am delivering, and to find the blessing that was written for this situation. So, my little mother, who I've referred to in other videos, my 90-year-old mother, needs to move from the home that she's in, and it's a good, positive place to be for her to be in. And me as her daughter, who has always been around her in location and in her heart. My siblings have moved to different states, which is just fine. You know, they're living their life big and loud and strong and loving. And I've chosen to stay in this space, in this land in Minnesota, because my heart lives here. My soul, this is the land that called to me to stay. And subsequently, my mother lives very close by. So, and then the beautiful woman who lives behind me, you can see the fence out the back window there. I had that fence built. It's a beautiful fence because our property lines are quite close. Our backyards aren't very big, which is fine. I like it that way. I don't need a lot of land to take care of because of my job. I am a gardener at a country club, and that takes up a lot of my time, and a lot of my passion goes into that land. So it's a sense of satisfaction. And I do have a very beautiful piece of property I live on that's smaller, a little postage stamp. And I have gardens galore, but they're smaller. And that's perfect. Keeps my serenity. And the lady behind me has gorgeous gardens. And bless her heart, she's been there for 47 years. I'm blessed to live in a neighborhood of homeowners that have lived here for many, many years. and they respect their properties and they take very good care of them. And they're loving individuals, and I'm honored to be amongst them. And now it is time for her to move, my neighbor. Her body is getting older and she is going to move to a different state to be near her son. And so I thought to myself, and this is part of that control that I was referring to before, a need to keep the peace. Why not show it to my little mother? It's a little house, little piece of property, manageable, but very close by. And so yesterday, with the permission of this beautiful woman who's still owning this home, I showed it to my mother and walked through it with her just as something for her to see, to think maybe I could live in this house instead of my big one that I am leaving. Of course, you're going to look at other places too. Then this morning, I questioned why I showed this house to her. And I needed to ask myself the question, am I showing this house to my mother because I need to control the space? Because I don't trust the universe to provide the most perfect neighbor? Was I doing it for her, or was I doing it for me, the one who needs harmony in the world? Is this the best course of action? And I need to keep asking myself these questions because as an earth keeper, as a person who really yearns for sacred space and quiet, am I controlling the situation by desiring to have my mother live in that home? But this might not be the best solution. Otherwise, or however, it's up to her. She has the final say. And so this morning, in the quiet stillness of the energies, we put together this blessing for whoever might end up in that house behind me. Blessing for the arrival of the unknown. Before I read this blessing, I'll just share with you that I worry. I tend to worry about what might happen. Moves in next door, because I've lived in houses where the neighbor who moves in is very disruptive and changes the energy and the peace of my own sanctuary. And so I need to address this. And that's why I had this journey to this soul piece of me who is affected by noise and chaos. But I do know too, as a sovereign being, that it's perfect. However way it turns out, it's the way it needs to turn out. That it's all right. As I said before, all is well in all of creation. And so instead of spinning on an outcome, which is what I tend to do you do that too? Do you spin on a situation and have it play over and over in your head, needing to have control of an outcome? I do. I am working very hard, and I'm not working, that's not the right way. I am praying and remembering how it is to fully accept the world around me. So here is the blessing, and I'm going to read it from my phone. I bless this land behind me with the breath of stillness, with the memory of birdsong, with the silence that has healed me. May those who step upon it come in peace, come in joy, come in rhythm with the deeper currents of the earth. I do not control what comes, but I call to those who will honor this space. I call to those whose laughter heals, whose presence uplifts, whose respect runs deeper than fences. If they are wandering, may they be guided here in love. If they are disharmonious, may they be drawn elsewhere. This land remembers serenity. and I trust that it will speak clearly to those who are meant to dwell upon it. I do not fear change. I bless transformation. I remain sovereign in my field, no matter what arises around me. So it is. And I need to remember this when I start to worry and spin again, to place a hand on my heart and say, I do not need to know what comes. I only need to know I am. I am the anchor. I am the stillness. I am the blessing, and the earth is always listening. What a beautiful thing that is. And so when I think about these situations, which are our day-to-day reflections, we live in a noisy world. Modern day can be noisy. We live closer together than that we once did hundreds and hundreds of years ago. But there's beauty in this. And I need to remember why I showed my mother this house was that need to feeling of protecting the peace. She's a quiet soul. But is she the perfect one to put there? Do I want to stand between the organic way of the universe, the love of the universe? Do I want to stand in the way of that? When I step out of the way of life, beautiful things occur. The magic happens. But this is the ancient wound of witnessing disharmony again and again. In the Atlantean, in the Orion Wars, in Atlantis, in Egypt. I know I was Native American, walked this planet in the North America, witnessed the tragedies, who lived through the chaos. So it is no surprise that my nervous system reacts the way it does. And so I want to encourage you to use this blessing and to remember these words. If you are sensitive to the world's noise, you can tone quiet strength, center, empowering without resisting. We are sovereign creatures. We have soul aspects who remember chaos, destruction, despair, but we also remember beauty, harmony. Before the world was mapped, in days of Lemuria, before that was taken apart, there was akin voices of the earth. When we remember our soul, the beauty, quiet, when neighbors disrupt or the news disrupt, first of all, I would suggest you don't watch the news. I've said this before and I will continue to say it. The television, the mainstream media is put together for one purpose only, and that is to frighten you to death. So turn it off, go within. You cannot control what happens on the other side of the planet. You cannot even control what happens in your cities. There are those who feel compelled to protest, to speak out, to be activists. And there are those like myself whose power is in the stillness, in the quiet, in the trust. I turn off the television, the radio. I am aware of world events as much as I need to be aware. I am judged for this by others because I do not get entrapped in the voices, the talking heads, the political arena. I trust in my soul's journey. I trust the voices around me who remind me that all is well, that everything that might occur is for our betterment. And I do not fear the future. I embrace the love that weaves its way through my life. And this is what centers me. This is why I do not have the luxury to resist when that voice inside says, help, I am afraid, or angers, becomes angry when world is loud. I need to listen to that being. Needs me to say, to remind them, yes, we have journeyed through chaos. We are here in this lifetime, not to experience that, but to honor the past, to love the present, and to trust the future. I trust the future. My future self visits me quite often to remind me that the present times are going to get louder, but she's fine. She's safe and protected. I am safe and protected. You are safe and protected. As long as I don't try to control the outcome, if I can get out of the way of that, remember the still voice inside who loves the bird song, loves the feel of grass on her bare feet, hugs trees, who allows children to be loud, who allows herself to be herself, and to remind the world that all is well. And so, dear traveler, dreamer, weaver, freedom fighter, light worker, realm worker, lover of all things beautiful and sacred, I'm so glad that you joined me today. I honor you. I see you. I acknowledge you. Let us ring the bell for the children, to those beautiful souls, those masters cloaked in innocence. The bell is a beacon of hope and love and light. When the world feels dark, as it oftentimes does, there is hope in our future. And if you forget that, if you forget about the hope, ring the bell. Find your own bell and ring it, and it lifts the frequency of your soul. And I remind you to play well together. Life is a challenge, but it's a beautiful challenge, orchestrated by benevolent beings. We're here to witness the unfolding, the ascension, the evolution of the grandest being in the human. Namaste.